The evolution of society. This creation of 5 fundamental factors is the crudest manifestation of macrocosmic chit, or cosmic mental stuff. During the introversial phase of the cosmic mind, or pratisanchara, the quinquelemental factors came in touch with the divine powers of Purushotama, the supreme knowing entity, and developed the vibrations of life. The more this vital energy received the brilliance of Brahma or supreme consciousness, the more enlightened it grew, and this glow led it forward on the path of self-realization. The highest of the thinking creatures have been able to accelerate the speed of their unit consciousness ahead of the speed of attraction, or the introversial phase of Brahma. The highest living being was called a human being or manus, which means an intellectual being. The development of intellect is not uniform in humanity. No two individuals are identical. In the perspective of time, the people of the ancient past had a less developed intellect than the people of the present day. Millions of years ago, when according to Brahmachakra, or the cycle of creation, the first human baby was born, this earth was not as safe as it is today. The human beings of that era were completely surrounded by dense forests, which were infested with ferocious animals and reptiles, by huge carnivorous creatures, with fierce protruding teeth in search of prey. They did not have a sweet home to protect them from thunder, storms, hurricanes and meteors. The scorching heat of the midday sun tried to destroy the very life of the first human babe. This was the kind of environment in which human beings found themselves in those days. Such circumstances were not conducive for human beings to develop their intellect or tread the path of self-introspection. In those days people employed all their energy, just for their self-preservation against ruthless nature, and during that age of bitter struggle, the most important thing was physical strength. In that distant age people realized the value of one thing, that might is right. As all forces were hostile to their existence, they did not feel safe living a scattered, isolated existence. So they came close to each other, and formed many small clans or tribes, with the sole purpose of self-preservation through collective struggle. In those days the mightiest person of a clan or gotra became the group leader, and was worshipped as a hero by the society. Thus there arose in the ancient past the first Kshatriyan, warriors, society. Those who first invented the use of fire through friction, who provided that pleasant touch of heat to the human body frozen by cold winter nights, became the greatest of people. This greatness was achieved by dint of merit and not by sheer physical force. Society held such people in the highest esteem as rishis or pioneers of human welfare. Later on, human beings made food delicious and easily digestible by roasting it in fire. The person who first taught people how to utilize fire was also acclaimed as a rishi, a disciple of the previous rishis. Those who discovered the art of weaving cloth, in order to clad the naked human body, those who taught how to domesticate animals, and provide cow's milk for babies deprived of their mother's milk, and those who solved the problems of transportation, by inventing bullock carts, all of them were called rishis. All of them were honored forebears of human society, and all of them are worthy of being remembered, welcomed and revered. The rishis were the harbingers of new innovations for society. Kshatriya society held them in highest esteem as vipras, intellectuals, and lavished them with honor. Years rolled by. Human beings became more closely acquainted with the external world. They learned to use many more objects, and to utilize those objects in a better way. Some people naturally remained preoccupied with mundane objects, to make them more useful. This group of people, obsessed with mundane objects, were known as Vaishyas, merchants. As a natural rule the Vipras or Kshatriyas gradually become subservient to the Vaishyas just to seek out an existence. In the absence of farmers no food was available, without weavers no clothes were available, blacksmiths, potters, cobblers, leather merchants, etc. were also indispensable. Generally Vipra society had no alternative, but to surrender to Vaishyan supremacy. Those who were entirely devoid of any of the attributes, of the Vipras, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas, became the obedient servants of these groups, but all of these three classes mercilessly exploited such people. The world advanced still further. More changes occurred in the social structure. As a natural consequence of the flow of creation, human beings discovered money. Money gradually became the means of physical enjoyment. This gave rise to tensions amongst people because, the more money one could hoard, the richer one became. If rich people so desired, they could own vast property, and all the amenities of life. In the Vaeshya-dominated society, the Vaishyas were the most affluent class, and other classes were completely dependent on their money, for their self-preservation. This Vaeshya-dominated society exists even today, and as a consequence of exploitation, the Vipran and Kshatriyan societies have degenerated to the level of Shudras. It is a natural law that only a few persons can attain opulence, but the Shudras are the majority. Today these Shudras are collectively determined to destroy the domination of the Vaishyas and annihilate them. There is a clear indication of the emerging dominance of the Shudras, but is this dominance of the Shudras an absolute truth? Will Shudra society remain as the final order? If the control of society slides into the hands of the Shudras, won't the material prosperity and the spiritual progress of humanity be obstructed? As a consequence of the struggle for Shudra domination, people are coming to understand what type of social pattern will ensure the genuine welfare of society. No social class should dominate society. If one class is dominant, the other classes will surely be exploited. Therefore, everyone is to be guaranteed equal opportunities and equal rights. For the progress of humanity, a harmonious adjustment in the society is essential. A good many genius students are compelled to drop their studies for want of money, and for the same reason, many artists are obliged to curtail their extraordinary talent. This is due to a defective social order. This state of affairs cannot be allowed to continue any longer. Cunning capitalists have built a fragile nest from their greedy intellect, just as the weaver bird builds a nest. In the collective interest of all human beings, this nest must be smashed to pieces. Only then can human beings lead the entire society toward supreme good. Otherwise, only a handful of people can ever attain perfection. Unless there is a complete transformation, it will be extremely difficult to lead the whole society to the supreme stance. The intense clashes and conflicts of the physical world will continuously turn people's attention to external objects of enjoyment and create obstacles in the path of their spiritual progress. In a harmonious social order, no one will run after fame or wealth like a mad dog. A congenial external environment will assist in acquiring psychic balance, and people's internal poverty will gradually decrease. Satu bhavti daridra, yaja asha vishala. Manasi cha paritasti, k'arthavan, ko daridra. Those whose desires are vast become poor. If someone is mentally happy, who is wealthy, and who is poor? O human beings, build the social structure considering the needs of humanity. Do not try to do anything for your petty personal and group interests, because whatever little you want to do with your limited outlook cannot last. The cruel touch of time will annihilate your aspirations into an oblivion that you cannot comprehend. It is not necessary to study books to know how to work, how to do, how to retain, and how to renounce. Rather, you should look upon every living being of the universe with sincere feelings of love and compassion. Only then will you realize that whatever you make, retain, or break is generated and controlled by the Supreme Entity. In that condition, you will realize that all your positive and negative activities are embedded in the all-blissful state. Through action mixed with devotion and knowledge, you will find the meaning of your life, the supreme treasure of your heart. This treasure, you have unknowingly kept carefully hidden in the golden casket of your heart. Say Ananda Karane Pate, Sad Ritu Yin Righty Mate. Plavana Ve Yaya Derate, Varane Jaitai Gandhir. With the silent footsteps of the Supreme Entity, the 6 seasons burst into dance. The whole world become inundated with welcome songs and incense. Shrii Shrii Anandamurtiji.